Sup everybody, it's your boy Corey, aka GQ Saint, back from the reaction video. Yeah, this video is actually different, trying something different right now, so I switch it up, because I do tend to, research what I'm about to watch every now and then, because I'm intrigued by sometimes in history, which is such a hate in high school, but I got to attend it and, appreciate learning about history. This one's going to be top 10, which is their own process list of top 10 most richest gangsters of all time, so I'm curious to see who they got on this list. I bet some people I know probably heard of, like, say, for Al Chapo, Pablo Escobar, Al Capone. Yeah, let's just get on going again, too. It's kind of a long video, I think up to 15 minutes, I think. Anyway, you already know special request. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you want to react to. Let's get it.
Illegal weaponry.
Sorry, but y'all had to skip over a little bit because I had to fix these.
These are people who found out through their own exploits
That's Al Capone.
that the good way is not the only way to shoot to the top. Yes, crime does pay up sometimes, but how much?
Until you go to prison or get
find
killed.
Out in this top trending list of the richest criminals of all time. Number 1, Al Capone, $100 million a year. If the name doesn't ring a bell,
I know
Al
he
Capone
came
was
into power during the Prohibition
Scarface.
era.
The gangster of barrels.
I know that's
rose
equivalent to
undiluted
well over $1
financial
billion
stardom
to
during
this
the
day.
Prohibition era. Born to Italian parents in Brooklyn, New York, Capone built his empire in Chicago, Illinois. He and his organization, the Chicago Outfit, supplied bootlegged alcohol to almost every state in the United States at a time when the transport and sale of alcohol was illegal in the country. Capone's business model solidified as his product market fit found takers.
I know
all
quite
around.
a few people won't be able to survive
Late
if we go through another Prohibition era. I know quite a few people. Me, I'll be alright.
Every year,
I don't drink that much.
Equal to $1 billion today. Capone's crime story began when he moved to Chicago and became the bodyguard for Johnny Torrio, who was heading the illegal alcohol supply market at that time. After a near-death experience in a street war between rival gangs, Torrio retired and Capone took control of the business. Overambitious as he was, Capone used extremely violent methods for business expansion. He even managed to maintain a larger-than-life philanthropic figure in the public, with generous donations and cigar-chomping public appearances at ball games. But the brutally violent death of 7 rival gang members became Capone's undoing. Immediately after that, almost every important person in the state wanted to see him in jail.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre,
for tax evasion by the federal authorities, and after subsequent trials in courts, handed an 11-year sentence. Capone suffered a stroke in January 25th,
no one's more gangster than the bank or IRS like that.
The same day. Here's some cool news. Tom Hardy is playing Al Capone in the upcoming movie Fonzo. Number 2, Susumu Ishii, $4 billion in global assets. Meet the Japanese Yakuza
Never heard of this guy.
who insisted words do more damage than
Yakuza,
bullets. Susumu Ishii was a Japanese Navy fighter pilot who was a part of the suicide kamikaze torpedo unit during World War II. He made it through the war and rose in ranks to become the second godfather of the Inigawa Kai gang. Just like his stint
Yakuza has been around for a very, very long time too. I saw a video about that.
In the 1980s,
they've been around for a long time,
$4 billion,
like the triads,
which he primarily raised through loans, international investments.
I think the Yakuza might be older than us. Well, who knows? I don't know. For not to know, because I don't want to go too much depth detail.
In fact, he avoided violence to the largest extent. He inspired the Japanese Yakuza to not resort to violence, as long as there was room for talk. He learned much of his self-control when he was in prison between 1978 and 1984, after conviction in a gambling scam. Shortly after his release, he bought, well, rather transferred to himself, the ownership of a luxurious golf club. Japan's High and Mighty queued up for membership at the golf club to the tune of $200,000 each. Ishii's wallet was just about warming up. After the jumpstart in Japan, the Yakuza
money and
went
property,
global.
legit
he
business.
invested in Korea, Hong Kong, Monaco, and the United States, and built connections so dense that at one time his group was professionally advised by George H.W. Bush's brother, Prescott Bush. After attaining such global influence, violence crept back into the Yakuza ranks. Pay off or shut down became their standard way of dealing with just about anything. In the late 80s, Ishii lost most of his money when the bubble economy burst. He died on September 3rd, 1991. The funeral was attended by over 6,000 people. Number 3, Leona Helmsley, $8 billion.
Never
Only
heard of
little
her.
people pay taxes. It was this aphorism that identified and defined Leona Helmsley, aka the Queen of Mean. Maybe the same conviction also landed her a jail term of 11 years. But Helmsley used her influences to bottle the sentence down to 19 months nonetheless. It was estimated that in the late 1980s, Leona and her husband accumulated as much as $2 billion, largely through New York's real estate scene.
I'm getting Cruella de Vil vibes by her face. I think that's what did they base this woman off her?
And the Empire State Building. U.S. Attorney and New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani indicted the Helmsleys and a couple of their close associates on tax evasion charges in 1988. There is word that they were also charged with extortion. Giuliani asserted that the couple had used their real estate money and influence to buy luxuries like a $1 million marble dance floor and a silver dock worth $45,000 for their Connecticut home. Yes, you heard that bit right. A $1 million marble dance floor. When Leona met real estate entrepreneur Harry Helmsley in 1968, she was working as a real estate broker. A couple of years later, she was the vice president of Harry's firm, Brown Harris Stevens. She was already a millionaire by that time. Harry divorced his wife of 33 years and got married to Leona in 1972. Leona Helmsley died on August 20th, 2007, with a net worth of $8 billion.
Man.
Number 4. Carlos Enrique Leder Rivas, $2.7 billion.
Whew.
A drug lord controlling an island,
I think I saw a video about him.
And dogs, a fleet of airplanes, and an incredible sense of vengeance against a whole nation. Carlos Leder's story looks straight out of a Colombian movie, if they make movies of that kind there. Unlike some criminals on the list, Colombian gangster and drug lord Carlos Enrique Leder Rivas is still around, but thankfully nowhere near you. He is serving a lifetime plus 135-year sentence in the United States.
You ain't getting out.
Among his most infamous achievements, he was the founder of the Medellin cartel, the conglomeration of drug barons from South America, who collectively controlled the supply of an estimated $60 million worth of illegal substances each day. Medellin cartel was so influential that another of its founders, Jose Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, was featured on the Forbes annual list of billionaires in 1988. Leder was hell-bent on smuggling cocaine into the United States and left no check unsigned to do it. He even bought a private jet and an entire Bahamian island, Norman Cay, to create additional routes of smuggling. Leder is said to have spent an estimated $4.5 million on the island alone. It included a yacht club, a marina, an airstrip, and almost 100 private homes. It was this island, Norman Cay, that later became Leder's main drug smuggling hub. At the height of Norman Cay's functionality, Leder earned a major part of his estimated net worth of $2.7 billion. It is said that he commanded a fleet of aircraft, and the 1,000-meter-long airstrip on the island was heavily manned by bodyguards, radars, and Doberman attack dogs.
Yeah, Dobermans, they are very good guard dogs. My buddy mine got one. He knows me. He's nice to me. I know him since he was a little puppy. He's always nice to me.
And form a private militia. So before Afghanistan became the #1 opium producer in the world in the 21st century, the Golden Triangle in Southeast Asia, comprising of Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar, used to be the global den of opium supply.
Sounds like a reason I always want to go to Thailand.
The Opium King and the Lord of the Golden Triangle attached to his resume, Kun Sa was the most feared name in Burma for a long time. Born as Zhang Kai-fu to a Chinese father and Shan mother, Kun Sa built his own army of militants and fought for the liberation of the Shan state in Thailand. But unlike other hot-headed rebels, Sa was smart enough not to throw everything away at war in the open field. While he first joined and later claimed independence from the separatist outfit Kuomintang, Sa also served in the nation's military when it suited him. In his 40s, Kun Sa invested heavily into opium supply and controlled around 45% of the New York's opium trade for a good 2 decades. During the same period, Sa had direct or indirect influence of over 70% of the opium production in the Golden Triangle. With an army of 20,000 men, better equipped than the Burmese military, and a U.S. bounty of $2 million on his head, the Opium King commanded a staggering net worth of $5 billion. It is reported that the Thai military once commissioned a 39-member unit of elite guerrilla rangers to secretly assassinate Sa. The attack did not just fail, Sa's personal Secret Service wiped out the entire elite unit of rangers.
Man.
Number 6. The Ochoa brothers.
Sean Kitchen, this guy.
$6 billion. Seems like the Medellin cartel made enough money to replace the oil economy with clean energy. Jorge Luis Ochoa and his brothers Fabio and Juan David were among the founding members of the Medellin cartel, the same gang that produced Carlos Leder, Pablo Escobar, and Jose Gonzalo
that's
Rodriguez.
him on the left.
Like almost every other drug and warlord, the Ochoa brothers came from a humble family of cattle breeders. The brothers ventured into drugs and started off as street peddlers.
They want to make more money because they, something like that, they might be living in poverty. Sometimes stuff like that, like stuff like that, get 30% something like you see this, it's kind of alluring you because you want to escape from poverty. So I want to stay legit, like you do things the right way. So I just want to quick, fast money to get out of poverty.
Declared that illegal drug traffickers will be extradited to the United States, with Carlos Leder topping the list. The Ochoa brothers fled to Panama, along with other members of the cartel. Jorge Ochoa is still alive, while Fabio was extradited, and Juan was killed. There's never a sweet end to drugs.
Nope.
Number 7. Victor Bout, 6 billion. A former Soviet military translator with a terrible conscience, Victor Bout bolted himself into fame and untold wealth when he used his multiple air transport companies to supply illegal weapons from the Soviet to Africa after the end of communism in Eastern Europe. And he didn't do it the discreet way. Bout's methods were so rash and violent that he was infamously nicknamed the Merchant of Death. At his peak, Bout had contacts around the globe, especially with countries that had strong trade ties to Africa. He was accused of extortion, money laundering, and even sabotage. All of this made him a fortune of $6 billion. But like all tales of easy honey,
real G
Bout
right there.
was stung at the end. He was convicted in the United States for conspiring to kill U.S. officials and aiding the terrorist organization FARC. In 2012, Victor Bout was sentenced to 25 years in prison. In 2016, he dared President Trump to pardon him after taking office. Number 8. Daoud Ibrahim.
Did he? I'm gonna look that up.
Daoud Ibrahim is the one name everybody hates in India. Gangster, underworld don, arms smuggler, and real estate scammer Daoud Ibrahim was the mastermind behind the 1933 Mumbai serial bombings, a coordinated, first-of-its-kind series of 12 explosions in one day that left over 700 people injured and 257 dead. The world has never seen anything like this before, and the gangster has been on the run ever since. Daoud operated through his crime organization named D Company and sourced local resources and information from multiple smaller subsidiaries. After his initial rise in India, he quickly worked upon his real estate game in the Middle East, mostly from outside of India while he was on the run. Much of the $6.7 billion that he made was chiefly through his real estate ventures. As of now, Ibrahim has been declared an international terrorist by the United States, and there's a bounty of $25 million on his capture. And if you think you're up for the job, there's strong intel evidence from multiple global agencies that suggest the gangster lives in a heavily protected area in Karachi, Pakistan.
Yeah, good look.
Number 9, Pablo Escobar, $25 billion. Pablo Escobar is perhaps the only Colombian drug lord whose popularity outgrew that of the Medellin cartel. Escobar was born in a Colombian village and spent the early years of his childhood without electricity. As the head of the Medellin cartel, Escobar indulged in drug trafficking, smuggling, bombing,
fast money in that type of industry,
murder, and racketeering. During
it's always very alluring. The people who are born in poor
smuggled 15
poverty
tons
situations.
of cocaine every day. The snooping officials were bribed off with either money in their pockets or bullets in their heads.
Plata o plomo.
At the time of his death in 1993, Escobar had amassed a net worth of $30 billion. In 1989, Forbes magazine listed him as the 7th richest man in the world, with direct control of over 80% of the global cocaine market.
I think he was rich enough to buy his own zoo.
Besides other things, Escobar was also known to be a loving family man. He reportedly literally burnt cash to the tune of $1 million just so his daughter could stay warm while they were on the run. Sounds like a good dad, but it doesn't make him less of a criminal.
Yeah.
Number 10. Amado Carrillo Fuentes, $25 billion. Mexican drug lord Amado Fuentes was a villain straight out of a Hollywood spy movie. He owned a fleet of 727 jets, eliminated anyone that looked or smelled suspicious, and used the Colombian Channel to launder money for his jets and drugs. He is reported to have caused thousands of deaths and was constantly on the run, being chased by United States and Mexican authorities. Fuentes was also known to have undergone multiple plastic surgeries to change his appearance. It was shortly after one of these surgeries in 1997 that he died from poor health. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated to be $25 billion. While Amado Fuentes was not the only drug baron to own private planes, he was known as the Lord of the Skies for his overwhelming fleet of jets, which were exclusively used in the drug trade.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
That's about it, folks. The 10 richest criminals of all.
How y'all feel about this, man? Man, it's crazy. And say something, man. That life is crazy. I don't think I had a good family that kept me straight. You know, we weren't rich, super rich. You know, we weren't rich and famous, all that. That kept me. They were tough on me. Strong enough to, you know, don't be a follower, just be a leader. In case something don't look right to you, just best to walk on your own path. That's what I learned a lot, man. Anyway, let me know what you think of the video. Drop a comment what you think. Anyway, make sure you give a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day. Peace.